Hey, everybody. It's Monday night. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being live here with me. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up if you would. We'd also love to have you as a subscriber. We're trying to grow the channel here. We are covering the very latest on the Savannah Guthrie, Nancy Guthrie case, the missing mom of Nancy Guthrie, pardon me. I had the YouTube channel pulled up in another window. The audio was on. I was getting a little bit of reverb and feedback there, so I apologize. Anyway, we are covering the very latest on Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, who has now been missing for over a week. There's no sign of her. There was a deadline of an alleged ransom. I said alleged because we have no idea um, if this ransom, over the last several days, over the last week, we had no idea if this ransom that was being sought was legitimate or not. It sounds like something that you would hear about out of like the 1970s, the 1980s, the 1940s, 30s, what have you. And these notes were sent to TMZ, they were sent to KLLD News, they were sent to K-Gun. So it's been crazy. So there was a there was a deadline, a 5 p.m. Mountain Time deadline today. That would be 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And it was very clear that Savannah Guthrie was not going to, that she was not going to pay that ransom. The TMZ was reporting that the Bitcoin wallet that had been attached to these ransom notes was empty earlier today. Savannah Guthrie had said over the weekend, "We will pay." They wanted their mother returned to them. She said, "We beg of you." I'll play that for you in just a moment. But that Bitcoin wallet was empty as of earlier today. The deadline has now passed. It passed about 40 minutes ago, the ransom deadline. And this came after Savannah Guthrie posted a new video earlier today. And I'm going to play that for you right now. It was before 4 o'clock that this came out. I was deep in writing a script and it popped up. Let's look.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation and we need your help. Hi there, everybody.
So I'm going to play this one more time for you. This is 1 minute and 42 seconds long. This is a major departure from the prior videos that Savannah Guthrie and her siblings posted. She's not speaking to some so-called kidnappers. It sounds like she believes her mom was taken, but she's not speaking as she was before to these alleged kidnappers who are out there. Because obviously, she told them Saturday night, "We will pay." Her demeanor is much different in this video. She looks fresher. She's wearing makeup. The family has been through hell over this last 8 days or so. And she is saying to the public now, we need help. She's issuing a plea to the public. So let's look at this one more time, and then we'll go back and look at the other videos. If you're just joining us, just to recap, the deadline set by these ransom notes that were sent to the TV stations, the 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Mountain Time deadlines for the $6 million ransom. And NBC News is now reporting and confirming that it was a $6 million request for ransom. There was never any proof of life provided as the family requested. But the family wanted proof of life. They wanted to know that their mom was alive. And so it said 6 million USD. That's US dollars. That's what NBC is reporting. Americans don't typically write like that. We know what USD, we know we're talking about US dollars. And this was supposed to be delivered in Bitcoin. That was the delivery. It was a Bitcoin wallet address that came attached to this email, this ransom email that was sent to KOLD and also to KGun. So let's look at this one more time, and then we'll look back at the other videos. The deadline has passed. This video was posted. Let's look at the exact time. It says 4 hours ago. So this would have been 3:32 Eastern Time, 1:32 Mountain Time. So hours before this deadline for the so-called, I call it so-called ransom because it seems to me that Savannah probably thinks it's all bogus and just either a red herring to distract from the investigation or somebody possibly messing with them. And they may already know. It's possible the feds track down and realize and know what was or who was behind these emails. And maybe they're just keeping a lid on that right now. Maybe this is part of the investigation. So Savannah's looking a little more fresh today. She's kind of put some makeup on and stuff like that. That is not a criticism. It's just an observation. She is asking the public for help, and she's doing this on her own without her siblings. So let's watch this one more time.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock, trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help. Hi there, everybody.
So that is the latest video. The deadline has passed. I think it's safe to say that Savannah Guthrie does not believe these ransom demands are real. I'm looking at an NBC News live blog. The FBI says it has agents, analysts, and professional staff working around the clock in the search for Nancy Guthrie. This was at 5:11 Eastern time. That's not a surprise. I'm sure they do. They're probably going through cell phone records, cell tower records. You know, they dumped everybody's phones, I'm sure, and they're looking at the movements of the cell phones, any health data that comes back from search warrants and subpoenas for Nancy Guthrie from her Apple Watch, her phone, anything like that. Additional personnel from the FBI field offices across the country continue to deploy to Tucson. This reminds me of the Idaho case. Uh, a somewhat different circumstance in that case, but again, they're trying to track down a murderer, possibly a kidnapper. But you would think that if this was a legitimate kidnapping, that there would be a legitimate ransom demand and that it would have happened fairly immediately. So they're flooding the zone, it looks like, with different personnel from different parts of the country. And these are analysts, that people who can look at different data, understand different things. I'm sure that there are a number of different things going on that we can only imagine. Plus, they're going to be looking at data and information, trying to track where these emails came from for the ransom, this alleged, ransom demand. So I think there's a lot happening behind the scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if those were routed through VPNs, the dark web, things of that nature, to try to obscure where they were sent from. It would be interesting to know also the time of day that those notes were sent. Time of day, things like that. They're probably executing or serving search warrants on different servers, different companies. We've heard different things. And Savannah Guthrie may know a lot more about what's going on behind the scenes with the investigation than she's going to say publicly. I can guarantee you that. Or maybe they're keeping her in the dark. She may know that they're working tirelessly, as she said, but also she may be keeping things close to the vest. And I'm sure they're keeping things close to the vest. Let's look at the video from Saturday, the very brief video where they basically said, we're going to pay, like, we will pay. And she said, they got the message and they will pay. So let's look at this again.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay. We received your message, and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
So that was Saturday, and it was very brief. This was after that other note was sent. And again, we don't really know what was in these notes. They're the contents, other than it was asking for ransom. It doesn't sound like there was any proof of life given. She said, we will pay. So were they anticipating an additional message out of this, an additional message that didn't come? That's very possible. If you say we will pay, and you put it out on Instagram and Facebook, and nobody comes back with another message, and it's now 2 days later, almost 2 days later, and nobody responds, then that leaves you to wonder, okay, is this legit? She literally said, "We will pay." I guarantee you they haven't heard back. No more emails to KOLD, no more messages to K-Gun. That's my thinking. They literally said, "We will pay." She's saying, "We're gonna give you $6 million. Give us our mom back." And I'm thinking there's probably crickets. And that's probably why she came out and gave this other message today where she pleaded with the public for their help.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help. Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and
So this is what I think. I think that after they said we will pay, after they said we on Saturday we will pay, there's been no further communication, no proof of life from the kidnappers. This is my thinking. And so Savannah's like, it's Monday. They haven't contacted us. And we literally said we will give you $6 million, and we've heard nothing. They've got a Bitcoin wallet, but there was no other way given, no other contact from the kidnappers. Because if they pay the 6 million and then Nancy isn't returned, I mean, you pay the 6 million and you get nothing in return. So it could very well have been a scam, a red herring to throw off the investigation. We don't know. Let's look at the latest message from the Pima County Sheriff. The Pima County Sheriff has been getting, Sheriff Nanos has been getting absolutely torched, roasted on social media because he went to a basketball game on Friday night, or Saturday night, rather, pardon me. Right as this video was coming out where Savannah and her siblings said, "We will pay. This is very valuable to us. We want our mother back. We beg you to return her." The sheriff was seen at a basketball game, a college basketball game. And it's just really bad optics. It doesn't matter if your people have it all under control. It's really just doesn't look good. It's really bad optics. And then right after that, the cops, after this video is put out, the cops show up at Annie Guthrie's house, and they're in the garage, and it looks like they're using alternate light sources in the garage, taking photographs. They're in other areas of the house, and they're there for between 2.5 and 3 hours. And they come out, and it appears they have a brown paper bag and a folding table of sorts. It looked like a folding table to me. I saw one outlet describe it as a silver briefcase. Maybe there was a silver briefcase. I just didn't see it. So, uh, we have the Pima County Sheriff's Office putting out tonight. Investigators have not identified any suspects, persons of interest, or vehicles connected to Nancy Guthrie. Anyone who believes they have information that may assist investigators is asked to contact 1-800-CALL FBI or the Pima County Sheriff's Department non-emergency line at 520-351-4900 or 88-CRIME. So that's what came out from the Pima County Sheriff's Department. And this was 6:53 p.m. This was 7 minutes before the ransom deadline expired. Yeah, Carolina Hurtado says all eyes are on the sheriff. He shouldn't have gone to the ball game. I agree. It's very bad optics. Terrible. Like, it doesn't matter if you're not personally looking at the investigation, analyzing the data. You shouldn't be doing it. You shouldn't have done that. It looks terrible. And he was getting just absolutely roasted. So I want to pull up the timeline again of what we know. This is the approximate timeline. And it says January 31st at January 31st, 2026. At 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to local family's home. She took an Uber. It's about 4 miles from her home to the home of Annie and her significant other, boyfriend, common law husband, whatever you want to call him. I've heard him described in many ways, Tommaso. 5:32 p.m., she takes the Uber to their home. 9:48 p.m., family, that's how they're described now, family drops Nancy off at home and the garage door opens. At 9:50, the garage door closes. Now, I think we're left to assume that, and we can listen to a little bit of the press conference as well. But it kind of makes it sound like, they drop her off. She goes into the garage door and the garage door closes. I do find it interesting they towed her vehicle on Friday night. It's kind of got me thinking, what's going on with that? It's probably for good measure, but do they believe something was going on with her vehicle? February 1st, 1:47 a.m., doorbell camera disconnects. 2:12 a.m., the software detects person on camera. No video available because she didn't have a subscription. And then at 2:28 a.m., this is, let's do our math here, 16 minutes later, her pacemaker app shows a disconnect from the phone. 11:56 a.m. that morning, the family checks on Nancy, and at 12:03, there's a 911 call to the sheriff's office, and the patrol arrives, and then we know what happened from there. I want to pull up a little bit of the sheriff from the other day. This is obviously they've told him to stop talking. And this kind of gives me some Idaho vibes as well, the Koberger case, where they were doing media updates. And then there came a point in the investigation where they said, you know what, we're not doing any more talking. If something happens and we feel it's warranted, we will have another update. They would put videos out on Facebook every now and then with little tidbits of information, but there was no more press availability, if you will. Because when I was out there, we would make little appointments with the PIOs who were provided by Idaho State Police because Moscow PD, they were overwhelmed. They're a small department. So the sheriff is not being made available for interviews any longer. So he's not doing that. He did a lot of interviews last week. So here is a little bit of the sheriff from last week. We'll play a little bit of this. I should have somebody joining me here shortly. A lot of people are very busy tonight talking about this case, as you can imagine. So let's look at a little bit of the sheriff from last week. And I'm going to speed this up.
An opportunity to ask a question. But last time we tried this, it was just kind of chaotic, people yelling. So I'd ask that you just kind of be patient with me, pay attention to the questions asked, because sometimes you guys want to ask the same question twice and you get the same answer. So help yourself get what you can out of this. I'm going to give you one question and a follow-up. Okay. But before we get there, I do have some comments. First of all, I want to begin by offering our condolences to our partners at the state Department of Public Safety's tragically lost 2 members last night in a helicopter crash up in northern Arizona. So if you would keep them in your prayers.
It's very sad.
Team here, those behind me, and our community are hurting with you. We really just want Mom back. Okay. Right now, we believe Nancy is still out there. We want her home. Our department, the sheriff's department, along with all of our partners at the FBI, have been working around the clock. And we just want her home and find a way to get to the bottom of all of this, just as you do. But I have other partners out there who have stepped up, and you've probably noticed them in the last few days, if not the last few hours, and you're going to see more of that. Well, I made a decision to contact our PCRIT team, and those of you not local, that's our Pima Regional Critical Incident Team. It's made up of law enforcement officers from this entire valley. Pasquayaki Police Department, Tucson Police Department, Marana Police Department, Oro Valley Police Department, Pima College Police Department. This is Tucson International Police Department, Sarita Police Department. There's so many of them, and they are going to help us tremendously. And that's really done because we have so much in front of us still. And we're hoping that, I know the FBI has committed a very large number of men and women to partner with us, work side by side with us. We go do an interview, they're going to be there with us. We're going to go look at some evidence or process evidence, they're going to be right there with us. We're sharing every piece of information, all the data we can to get this thing solved. And it's important that my partners in law enforcement know and understand their roles, because it is very large, complex investigation with a lot of moving parts. And we're at that phase now where sometimes we're waiting, right? We're waiting for analysis. We're waiting for lab reports. But even then, when they come back quickly, for example, some DNA, we rushed what we thought was the best target for DNA. We did a rush through and got some of that back. The results were minimal. I think you all know the blood on the porch. That was one we did. It came back to Nancy. That's what we know. But there's still more items that have been submitted. We just haven't got them back yet. But in the meantime, we're not just sitting on our haunches waiting. We do have a number of leads coming in, and that's why we brought in the FBI for one, but PCRIT as well, to be able to get out there and handle these leads as they come in as quickly and as expeditiously as we can. And every single lead is looked at. Every one of them. And so we're gearing up. You probably have some questions about what you've seen in the last couple of days. I'll gladly answer those at that time. But it really is about getting our partners out there. To be fair, when we went to that scene the first night, Saturday night, it was just us. Since then, the FBI and others have asked, can we go and see it as well? And that's what you've been seeing. But it is a very important case to not just me and my team, but this entire community, all of our law enforcement partners. Suspects. I know there's been a lot out there about suspects. And I want to be very clear. At this time, we have not identified a suspect or a person of interest in this case. We are working our best to do that. But to be clear, we have nobody of interest or any suspects that you would consider a prime suspect. We're just not there. We're not there yet. The timeline, I think we've got it on the board, do we not? This is a timeline that we have been able to develop with some of the things that we've had processed, various pieces of electronics that we've gathered. And you look at some of this, and I know you're going to say, well, why did it take you so long to get this to us, Sheriff? Well, because one thing, it's got to go out and be processed at different lab sites. And sometimes that stuff comes back to us. And like you, we have questions. And we say, wait a minute, what is this about? What about this? Could it be that? And so it's sent back or it's sent somewhere else. So, and that's happening with all of the things we see, that process, that review, and that questioning of, all right, what is it we're looking at? So I'll go over it with you. You can see it on the board there, but at about 5:32 p.m., these are approximate times. 5:32 p.m., Nancy travels to her local family's home for dinner and playing games with the family, just visiting. At 9:48 p.m., which is very consistent to what we were told by the family, that Nancy was dropped off at home. And we know that because we have a garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, which is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed. Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12
I think it's interesting. He said, we assume she's home and is going to bed. Let's back that up a minute. We assume she's, and maybe I'm nitpicking his words or looking at this too closely, but he said, we assume she's home and going to bed.
9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, which is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed.
He said, we assume she's home and going to bed. Do we really know if she was home and going to bed? He said, we assume she was home and going to bed. So let's back it up just one more time.
Garage door open at approximately, I can't stress that enough, at approximately 9:48 p.m. At 9:50 p.m., that garage door closes, which is that time we assume that Nancy's home and probably going to bed.
He said that we assume that she's home and going to bed. So that's what they're assuming. And this was days ago. That's what they were assuming days ago, that she was home and going to bed.
Sunday morning, early morning at 1:47 a.m., the doorbell camera disconnects. At 2:12 a.m., software detects a person on a camera, but there's no video available. They had no subscription, and therefore it would rewrite itself. It just kind of loops, right, and covers up. That's what our analysis teams have told us. We're not done with that. We'll do all we can, but that's what it says. So it detects a person on camera. Could that be an animal? I imagine that's possible. We don't know that. We just have no video, but we're not giving up on that. 2:28, Nancy's pacemaker app shows that it was a disconnect from the phone.
It looks like there's new information, guys, from the FBI. For more than a week, FBI agents, analysts, and professional staff have worked around the clock to reunite Nancy Guthrie with her family. The FBI is not aware of any continued communication between the Guthrie family and suspected kidnappers, nor have we identified a suspect or person of interest in this case at this time. Additional personnel from FBI field offices across the nation continue to deploy to Tucson. We are currently operating a 24-hour command post that includes crisis management experts, analytics support, and investigative teams, but we still need the public's help. Someone has the one piece of information that we can use to bring Nancy home. We need that person to share what they know. Please call us at 1-800-CALL-FBI. No continued contact from the alleged kidnappers, guys. That is the very latest from the FBI. So I think that we can safely say what I said just a short time ago. What I was gathering and what I believed was that either those ransom notes were a scam or they were a red herring, or a distraction thrown out there by the person who has Nancy or took Nancy or did something to Nancy, somebody who may have harmed Nancy. My one question for these people at this time, and I think it's because they don't want to answer this question. They're not going to have any more press conferences, at least not till this time. Not at this time, they're not. Here's my question. Here's my question for you, Sheriff. Is this a homicide investigation now? Is this a homicide investigation? This was a missing persons case, a potential kidnapping a week ago. Is this a homicide investigation? Has this changed? I mean, you called homicide investigators out day one because something just didn't look right to you. There was blood at the scene, forced entry, but something, it's probably always been a missing persons case / homicide investigation. You just didn't really come out and say it because you were hoping and wanted Nancy to be alive. Plus you don't want to spook any potential suspects. And they're saying, if you guys hear this, they're saying they've not identified a vehicle of interest. They're not going to come out and tell us that if they have. So that's just my take. They certainly haven't put out any photographs of a vehicle of interest to help in the case. So when is the time going to come? They're continuing to analyze data, and some of this can take a long time to look through it, the digital stuff. I mean, when it comes back, it can be reams and reams and reams of data, and then the analysts have to parse through it, and they have to look through it and analyze it. I mean, it can take a long time. You can't tell me that by this time they haven't looked at. I'm just saying, you can't tell me that by this time they haven't gotten the surveillance footage from whomever drove Nancy home that night, that they haven't gotten that and pieced that together visually from the different, businesses along that route. You would think that would have happened by now. We know that last Friday they were at the Circle K collecting video. So where is Nancy? That is the huge question. Where is Nancy right now? Where has she been since last Saturday? And my big question is, what is her phone, despite the fact that her phone, her belongings, her phone, her hearing aids, right? Her phone, her hearing aids, her purse, her car, all these things they said were found in the house. Despite that, like, where does her cell phone, what does her cell phone location data show? I would think they might have that information back by now, but I don't know that. I don't know that for certain. Where does that data show her phone was between 5:00 on Saturday and, I don't know, 2 a.m. on Sunday morning? Where was Nancy's phone? And does her Apple Watch have location data on it? Where was she? Where was her location, or at least her phone's location? It's pretty rare that women go anywhere without their purse or their phone. I've done it. Like, I've left the house without my phone. I try to always have it with me. I mean, there was one time I left my phone at the grocery by accident and didn't realize it for hours. That happened last year sometime. And I was like, oh, like later that night, I was like, oh my God, where's my phone? Where is it? And I have that Find My thing on my laptop. And I realized that I left my phone at the grocery. Thank God somebody found it. I had done the self-checkout and just put my phone up on the thing and then left it there. But where does this data show Nancy's phone was during those hours? Because that 2-minute time span, if she went in through the garage, I was thinking about it. Maybe I should see how long, like if I got out like a crutch or a cane, how long that would take me to actually get in my house. How long would that take me to get in my house? I don't know. If I were kind of like moving slowly with a cane or a crutch, if I opened my garage door, or did she always go in through the garage? I mean, was that how she went into her house? Or did she go in usually through another door and the garage door opened and then the garage door closed? We don't know. But something is not right here. Something is not right. So let's listen to a little bit more of the sheriff. Maybe I'm picking his words apart too much. He says, we assume she was home and going to bed. Well, I don't think we can assume anything in this case.
And at 11:56 a.m., the family checks on Nancy and discovers her missing. And at 12:03 p.m., 911 is called in to the Pima County Sheriff's Department. I believe it's about approximately 10 minutes later, 12 minutes later, our patrol teams arrive. They see the scene, and we start our response with our search and rescue teams and our detectives from homicide and various units. In fact, every unit here, I think somebody questioned, well, how come there's an ICAC member out here or this member? Everybody in our criminal investigations team is a part of this team and part of this investigative effort. I think with that, let me make sure. I want to clarify some things that I may have already done, but yeah, I've gone over with the blood at the front door, the doorbell camera. It was removed. We know that, but we're not confirming that any cameras were smashed or destroyed around the house. I don't know where that came from, but that's something we're not confirming. The car, the car that was at the home, it's just standard investigative practices. It's part of the search warrant scene, court orders. We pull it out of there and do our scene processing with the vehicle. Uber. We did speak to a driver because Nancy, we learned, had been taking the Uber to the family residence, the daughter, for dinner. And we located that driver and spoke with them and got that information. The house. You guys got this, I think, conducting follow-up. I think you said somebody had mentioned that they saw a team out there again last night or yesterday, and that's just, again, what I was talking about before. Our partners wanted a chance to see it and examine things themselves, and more importantly, it's just we're constantly following up on things and go, hey, what about this? So we want to go back and check on some things. Here's the other thing. Someone had mentioned there was forced entry. I have no clue where that comes from. We have been very consistent. We are not discussing that at all, whether it's forced entry or not forced entry. That is something we're just not discussing. So I don't know where anybody got that information.
Okay. So I thought it was forced entry. He's saying they don't know if it's forced entry or not. So yikes. I had not heard him say that before. So they're not saying if it was forced entry. If it wasn't forced entry, that's another clue right there.
I think I am about done with my piece of this. I'm going to bring up here Heath Yankee, and I think you know him if you haven't been here. John Edwards is the assistant agent in charge with the FBI here at the Tucson office. Heath Yankee is the special agent in charge for the state of Arizona out of Phoenix, and he will come up and speak.
Thank you, Sheriff. Hello, I'm Heath Yankee, the special agent in charge of the FBI's Phoenix division. First, I want to let the Guthrie family know that our hearts are heavy for them. After seeing your message last night, it is clear that you and your family are in pain. Please know that we are doing everything to bring your mother home. The FBI is now working this case jointly with the Pima County Sheriff's Department, and we're going to start today by announcing a $50,000 reward for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie and/or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance, and this will be the missing persons with the reward that will be going out. The FBI has agents, analysts, and professional staff employees working day and night with our partners at the Sheriff's Department. We have deployed additional intelligence and agents from our Phoenix office. We have brought in our critical incident response group from Quantico, Virginia. Members from our cellular analysis survey team are here, and they continue to collect and process digital information. We are actively reviewing and analyzing information from all digital sources, which includes banks, social media companies, phone companies, and any other organizations where a digital footprint could have been captured. All this information provides data points and helps put the picture together. And we will be in the community continuing to conduct a thorough investigation with our partners. You heard about us out there last night. We will be back out there today. I would ask the media, give our investigators the space to do their jobs while they're out there. Next, regarding the ransom letter. We are aware of a ransom letter that was sent to the local media and then to national outlets. As with every lead, we are taking it seriously. We are in communication with the family. And while we advise and recommend from a law enforcement perspective, any action taken on any ransom is ultimately decided by the family. Thank you to those in the community that have called in tips. For anyone out there that may have information, no matter how small you think it may be, please report it. You can do so by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI or online at tips.fbi.gov. My next message is to those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation. We will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions. We have made one arrest related to an imposter ransom demand, and a complaint will be presented to a magistrate judge later today. You will get more on that from the FBI and our U.S. Attorney's Office here in Arizona when it becomes available. To anyone that may be involved, do the right thing. This is an 84-year-old grandma. This is an 84-year-old grandma that needs vital medication for her well-being. You still have the time to do the right thing before this becomes a much worse scenario for you. Please return Nancy home. Thank you.
All right, so you want to call him or you want me to call him? Okay, so the first person we're going to...
So there you there you have that.
The list is going to be NBC National Liz Prince.
Right here. Can you walk us through that timeline from when you believe?
So the ransom deadline, I'm seeing some questions in the chat. The ransom deadline has passed. There's been no further, the FBI says no further communication between the alleged kidnappers and the Guthrie family. I would expect that there wouldn't be any further communication. We still don't know if this is a red herring or a distraction. Any type of, this could be scammers. It could be somebody trying to distract the investigation. Just nonsense. But I don't want to, I don't want to put words in law enforcement's mouth, but I have a, very bad feeling about this. I think that the question needs to be asked. And I think that they are just waiting. They probably, despite the fact that they're saying they don't have any suspects, I think they probably are looking at people. I won't go into detail about who, but NBC News, I'm kind of skimming through their stuff. And they had reported earlier today that the search of Annie and Tommaso's home, that was done with consent, not a search warrant. So that was pretty interesting. That's what they had reported earlier today. So Nancy Guthrie is somewhere, and either somebody has her or somebody has put her somewhere and is not revealing where she is. And it would be interesting to know what those who last saw Nancy have told law enforcement. And the people who last saw her were her daughter, Annie, and her son-in-law. She has grandchildren as well, but I mean, they're young. So did Nancy actually get into a vehicle, and was she actually driven home? Does law enforcement believe she was driven home from Annie's that night? She very well may have been. The sheriff said he thought, the last Monday, he said he thought she was dragged from her bed. And then he walked that back Tuesday morning. He walked that back and he said something to the effect of, he was speaking figuratively, not literally. So who knows? I'm going to put this up one more time. $50,000 reward, 1-800-CALL-FBI. Everybody, please take a look at that. There's a family in a great deal of pain tonight. I'm going to play this one more time. If somebody has harmed Nancy and took her, then guess what? I think that if somebody has done that and harmed her and took her, they're either doing the ransoms as a distraction, or they're looking to just torture poor Savannah and her siblings. So let's look at this one more time.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much. Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers, and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation and we need your help.
Okay, so that was the message from today, the video. No communication again from the kidnappers. I think that we all anticipated when she put that out that there wouldn't be any more communication from the kidnappers. Look who's here. Dave Sarney, retired NYPD detective, also a professor. Dave, thanks for hopping on with me. I appreciate
Sure,
it. I know
sure.
you're a man in demand right
Uh,
now.
not a
So,
demand. Trust me. Nobody wants me. Ask
oh,
my
okay.
ex.
Well, I feel
Ask my
like they
ex-wife.
do. So,
Current
um,
wife, not too sure.
okay. So, you're hilarious. So Dave is here. He was here Saturday night. Just your thoughts on the fact that the deadline has passed. I've been sharing my thoughts, but I'm just me. I just cover this stuff and have for a long time. You've actually, you know, been there, in as a homicide investigator, as a detective investigating crimes. So I felt like when Savannah put the video out earlier today, that was a sign that she believed the ransom was totally a head fake or fake, because obviously she didn't pay it. After they said we will pay, no further communication.
It's been a weird thing, and when we talk about all the leads in this case, there's so many. There's so many. I talk to I teach college, and I talk to my students, and they're confused. Some of them are very confused as what's going on. There's a lot of moving parts, and they're all going in different directions. Is this was a lead that has been put out there, and the media has picked up on it with this ransom note? And I'm always about the whys and why there's no ransom note left on the scene immediately. Why they wait
Mhm.
like over a day and a half, 2 days to do this. This is things I think about. Why that night she's taken. That's another thing I think of. So we don't, we've never had the authenticity, or it's never been authenticated, at least that we're aware of. As far as the media is concerned, we don't know, if there's a proof of life or any proof of existence. That's what it comes down to. So you really have someone putting it out there. We've already had one person arrested for faking a ransom note. And is this one of them? Another thing here also that I'm able to track it right now. The request for a Bitcoin of $6 million. They gave them the address. Is that address viable? Does it actually function as a true address? These things are all that are questions that we're doing it. They sent They sent notes to 3 different media sites, to 2 networks, and then to TMZ. TMZ ran with it. There are so many things here. What we know is what we know as the media is concerned, but what is going on behind the scenes, you're hoping and believing that they have enough information to forward and continue on with this case, because it is a maddening case. I'm the detective and I'm crazy as it is. This would drive me out of my mind because there's so much going on it. And you're not doing it by yourself. There's going to be teams, and it could be a 24/7 operation when you have a day tour and a night tour coming in, maybe an overnight tour. There's a lot of people, plus analysts that are working any of the trace evidence that they have, meaning any phone records, anything along those lines, any computer records. They're looking at that. There is such a plethora of information to have out there that it takes time to develop and obtain it and able to disseminate it and saying, yes, I can answer a question with this fact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, analyzing all that data as it's coming in, and I'm assuming it's still coming in. I mean, they may have a good share of stuff that they're still combing through, but I mean, when you get this stuff back, Celebrate stuff from the cell phones, health data from Apple. I mean, it's like reams of stuff. Some of this stuff can be turned over and you can get it really quickly, but a lot of times it's a lot of data. I'm wondering, too, Dave. You know, they keep saying no suspects, no vehicles of interest. This is what they're putting out. Maybe they haven't identified a suspect per se, but they've got to have. They've never come out and said, "Yeah, we've ruled out X, Y, and Z," and they're not going to do that. So, do you think that they possibly do have a suspect right now?
It's possible, and you know what it is, and you know, like I said, I teach at college, and I brought this up. A lot of kids have no idea who Samantha Guthrie is. Some of them do. They're
Savannah.
following the case. Yeah, they don't know anything about
Yeah.
Samantha Guthrie. The Today Show. They have no idea about it.
Right.
But we use this as a stepping stone about cases, about the crime scene, about evidence there. We talk about, and they wonder about how do you get this evidence. They're like, you have to actually get it, and once you get it, you have to look at it, and it takes time. So, you know, we talk about Ring cameras and all these cameras that they might have available. The lighting in the area was very low, so you don't know what kind of camera work you have. Is there any infrared cameras that people have? Those Ring cameras are only fixated at a certain point. How far did that go? Even still, you have to review that video between 12 and 14 hours worth of video to see if you even can view it, because if it's not saved in the system, then you have nothing. And also, people who have video surveillance systems may not even know how to operate it. So that's another thing into itself. Are they operational? Does it record? There was a camera removed from the Guthrie residence today. Apparently, there was a camera that was situated there. Did that record? Does it record? Is it a fake camera? These are things that you have to find out and do all of this.
Right.
It is so much work. And you know, that's what people don't realize. And they say 47 minutes in a commercial, you want the case solved, person arrested in a trial. It's not happening. And this type of case, because of the plethora of data that can be available and be exploited for this case, it takes time to review that. And phone work, triangulation of phones, how long does that take to get back? How can we triangulate cell phones in that area? You have to then go over to the cell, find out what phones what phones are in the neighborhood. Then you have to try to break down what phones are not supposed to be there. Evidence at the house, what was recovered, what wasn't recovered. These are things that are all coming into play. So we wish we have the answers. And I'll tell you, like I said, I'm the detective. I'm banging my head, and I will tell you, the detectives in that room throwing ideas left and right out.
Dave, because there was no proof of life provided, and this kidnapping stuff, the ransom seems to be bogus at this point. Is this now, they're not having media availability? Is this no longer a missing persons case? Do you think this is a homicide investigation?
Well, you know, this is one thing about missing persons. You can go missing. There's nothing wrong with being missing. Is your missing or the missing status of that person based on criminality? Right now, it appears so because the person is no longer at that residence. They have a medical condition. They're physically unable to travel for a very long time. Their car is still available. Their car was on the scene. They finally took the car into custody to go over the car. Maybe there's a computer in the car that they could see how many times that's been driven. I don't know what kind of vehicle she had, how up to date it was. So you could actually go back into like a sort of a black box and find out distances, how far she's went around. These things, you know, it's still it's still a missing person until we determine otherwise. And in New York, we call it a special category missing because she's elderly. She has a medical condition. She's infirmed in a sense where she can't walk as well as she should. So these are things you're looking at. And, you know, it was so funny. We talk about the crime scene and issues with the crime scene and releasing and stuff. And I talk to my students, when do you release a crime scene? Some kid goes like, and this is all fresh kids. They have no idea about this. And they're like, well, when I have enough available. And one student goes, until we find her. And that's really what we're looking for. The end result is we want to find her. Alive would be the best possible scenario. And that's why behind the scenes work with the analysts. The FBI released a statement today. The sheriff's office is now referring to the FBI. If they're going to talk to anybody, talk to the FBI. We have nothing of value right now. They're looking at ways now maybe to manipulate the people involved in this. And how many people? Is it one? Is it two? Is it three? You're dealing with an 84-year-old woman. And I say, I have a 90-year-old aunt, and she's feisty as all can be. She's not going gently. So you may have had two people involved. So maybe even three with a driver. So a vehicle of interest. We had the white van. Then that kind of went by the wayside because no one talks about the white van anymore. Could that be something they're still looking at as possibly the vehicle that was there? We don't know. And the problem again comes back to The amount of time it took to know she was missing, which is about 11 to 12 hours, that's a long time. How
Right.
far can they get at that point? Did they have a place set up to hold her in hostage, or hold her as a hostage if we're looking at that point? Because burglaries or home invasions, it's rare if at all they're going to take a person if they've caused serious physical injury. They're just going to leave the scene.
Mhm.
So this is the reason why. Why was she taken on that night, Saturday night to Sunday? Why not Tuesday? Why not Friday afternoon? Why that night? And that's my thing about this case.
Yeah. That's my thing too. The timing. I also wonder about the timing with Savannah. She was supposed to travel to Italy for the Olympics. And so is that part of was that part of the timing of this, thinking
It's
that either it's going to disrupt her life or, she would be out of town. I don't know. I just I don't understand. I mean, of course, if your mother is missing, you are going to not go to Italy. There's no way you're
yeah,
going to Italy for the Olympics, but the
yeah.
timing just seems very strange to me.
Well, that's the issue too. Is that's the reason why now she was going to go. She was leaving the country. Why did you wait this long if you want engage her in a hostage situation, in a kidnapping situation? Because she'd be at a distance.
Mhm.
There's family. The last people to see her before she's kidnapped is the daughter and the son-in-law, or the whatever his relationship is with Nancy's daughter. We don't know.
Mhm.
But and that time frame is important, because why did they not do it on a Tuesday? Because now we know that were they watching? Because if they left her at 10 o'clock, this apparent possible removal of her from the house took place within 3 hours of them leaving the location. So were they under surveillance? Was a vehicle around? That's why you're asking them, what did you see? What did you hear? And that's why we go back to all the 911 calls or 311 calls that we have in New York, of anything of suspicious vehicles. I hate the word suspicious, but vehicles that are out of
Yeah.
the ordinary in the area. So you're falling back on this. These are things you look back on. You look at the victimology. You try to find out what was her routine, because every person at this age has a routine. Do they go to the hospital? Do they go to see the doctor? They go to the store. They go get their hair done. They go to the post office. They go to the bank. They're going to ask all those things, and the first person you're to ask is the daughter, who has the closest relationship because she's on scene. You're going to ask Samantha things that she knows. You're going to ask her friends what they know. You're going to ask the minister what he knows about the church. She's never missed church before, but now I'm hearing that she hasn't been to church since COVID. There's a lot. I mean,
Right.
there's so much information out there and that's the problem. We said she never goes to church, but then they knew she wasn't at church. But she has been
Right.
in church since COVID. So what are we talking about? And that's another issue. That's why you got to take all the information. And I believe this, in my sense, you have a question, you have to clear it with an answer, which is a fact. And right now there are a lot of questions and not enough facts to answer those questions.
I agree 100%. Well, Dave, I really appreciate you hopping on with me tonight. We are going to wrap this up. Everybody, I appreciate you coming on and joining. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe if you would. Thank you to the mods for hanging out tonight. We kind of did this last minute. I really appreciate them as always. They're always here with me. Everybody have a great night. Say a prayer for Savannah Guthrie and her family. Say a prayer for Nancy. 1-800-CALL-FBI. That is where tips are submitted. 1-800-CALL-FBI. They are working this case. Say a prayer for all involved. Take care, everybody. Thank you again. Good night.